Joining me now, NBC's Ken Dilanian and former U.S. Attorney, professor at the University of Alabama Law School, and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance. Take us, Ken, exactly through what the Trump administration is trying to do here.
Well, that question can be answered on many levels, Chris. I think one thing that the Trump administration is trying to do is throw a bone to their supporters, many of whom believe legitimately in their hearts that people involved in the Biden and Obama administrations committed crimes and should be in prison. They believe that. There's no evidence to support that. And in fact, what's happening here is quite troubling. You know, it doesn't take a lot of predication to open a criminal investigation. That's really not the significance of this. To me, the significance is that the administration leaked it, almost issued a press release to Fox News. That's not supposed to happen. It's fine for grand juries to re-examine. In this case, this has been investigated ad infinitum, including by a special counsel appointed by Donald Trump. But it's not unheard of for people to take another look at a closed criminal investigation. What's unheard of is for that to be leaked. It's to embarrass people publicly. And also just the fact that the investigation is going to cause people to have to pay legal fees, perhaps talk to FBI agents, perhaps appear before a grand jury, all of which, again, has been previously investigated by a special counsel, John Durham, appointed by Donald Trump. He looked exhaustively at all these issues, and it was very clear to everyone who watched that investigation that he would have charged anybody he thought violated the law, and he did not charge any of the main players. In fact, he didn't even address this whole issue of the intelligence community assessment on Russian interference in his final report, even though he looked very closely at that issue. So there's a lot of questions here about what's happening, and a lot of people are looking at this and saying this is a real distortion of the criminal justice system, Chris.
So, Joyce, I guess the government can investigate anything it wants, but is all this performance politics, or do you see a legal basis of any kind for this investigation?
No, there's no basis for doing this. And the cynic in me wonders about the timing when the Trump administration seems so invested in deflecting from the Epstein crisis. You know, the reality here is that the intelligence community made an assessment in 2016 that Russia was trying to interfere with our election. And there's nothing startling about that. Russia has tried historically to interfere in our elections, as have other nation-state actors. And so that in and of itself is not the sort of thing that you would expect to provoke this reaction almost 10 years later. And those 10 years are important because that means even if a crime had been committed, and every entity, whether it's John Durham or a Senate subcommittee that looked into this and has concluded that no crime occurred, even if there had been some form of criminal conduct, it would be past the statute of limitations, which is 5 years in a criminal case. And that means there really isn't predication even to open an investigation. It is unprecedented for the Attorney General to order prosecutors to open a case. Usually that's done based on evidence and the law that prosecutors are looking at. They make that decision. I have to say, if I had received an order like that from the Attorney General, I would have said, I'm happy to look at the situation. We'll open an investigation if we think it's merited.
So there is a Justice Department official who was quoted as calling the move a dangerous political stunt. What are the implications of something like this?
The implications are that the Justice Department has become another political tool in the hip pocket of the presidency. And there's this interesting dispute that goes on a very ideological sort of a level about just how much control the president should have over the Justice Department, which is an executive branch agency, and the president appoints the Attorney General. But the reality of the post-Nixon Justice Department is that decisions about who to investigate, who to indict, who not to indict, those are made by career prosecutors looking solely at the facts and the evidence. They shouldn't be made by political folks or people in the White House.
Joyce Vance, Ken Dilanian, thank you both.